Stick around because we're going to be making a big old shopper tote for you. It's very easy. It's going to be made with 10-inch pre-cut squares, so it comes together in no time and looks really cute. Hi everybody, it's Claudia from Create with Claudia. Hope everybody's doing good today. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today we're making a really big shopper tote. It's reversible, easy to make, and it's easy, and I'm going to show you how to make it with 10-inch pre-cut squares. So if you have a pack sitting around that you don't know what to do with, this is perfect. You don't even need a whole pack. You can use almost half a pack. So you can get 2 big tote bags out of one 10-inch pre-cut stack. This is the bag we're going to be making, excuse me. Here it is. This is the back. There's the inside. I'll show you how to reverse it later. It's very easy to make. Just a really quick order of business. I do want to thank Missouri Star Quilt Company for the fabric that I'm going to be using in this video. I am a Missouri Star Quilt Company affiliate, and that means a couple of things. One, every once in a while, they provide me with some box of goodies that I can bring to you, show you what I've picked out, and they have so many great things to choose from. Most importantly, though, is I have an affiliate link. So if you go to the description of this video, it's in there, or my link tree. It will take you to their site, and you can shop on there and get 20% off of orders of $50 or more on qualifying items. That is a really, really good discount, so I urge you to do that. Very important, though, I do want to let you know that I do earn when you use that link. I earn a commission, so thank you so much. I appreciate it when people use that link. It means a lot to me. So the fabrics that I use today, well, the one I showed you already, this is Beggar's Night. These are all 10-inch squares from Beggar's Night. I'm going to show you them. You'll see the whole pack-ups on screen. Loved this Halloween collection. It's so pretty. And that is by Sandy Gervais for Riley Blake. And again, it's called Beggar's Night. So I used that layer cake. I made one out of that. And then for this video, I'm going to use this one. Love these. These are Gradations Stonehenge by Linda Ludovico. I hope I pronounced that right. Sorry about that. From Northcutt. Gorgeous purples and teals and things like that. And you'll see those up close when I'm making the bag. So this one I haven't even broken into. For this bag, you're going to need just a few things. You're going to need some lightweight fusible interfacing, and I'll tell you a little bit about that when we get there. And you're going to need 18 10-inch pre-cuts. So you can use your favorite stack, or you can make your own. It's up to you. So here again are those gorgeous Gradations from Northcutt. And I'm just going to go through here and choose what colors I want. I used some turquoise thread that's in my machine, and so I think I'm going to go with turquoise. I love blues. So basically the first thing you're going to need 16 of these 10-inch squares from your pack, or the ones you make, whatever. And that's going to be for the inside and the lining. So you need 16 of these, and then you need 2 of them for the straps. The other thing you're going to need, and this is optional, I like it to use a little bit of fusible interfacing. I use it on the outside layer of the bag. I use 2 pieces. They're cut 19 3/8 inches square. I use it because it adds just a little bit of extra stability to the bag. It is not necessary, but I really think it adds a lot to the bag, I think. Just a little bit more heft, if you want to say. It's not heavy at all. No, I shouldn't say heft. Heft isn't the right word. But it's just a nice thing to add to it. All right, so these are the fabrics I went with. For the outside of the bag, or the inside, whichever one, you need 8 of the 10-inch squares. So I chose 8 of these gorgeous blues. I just thought they went really well together. So that was for the outside or inside. Depends on my mood. And then for the other side, I went with a bunch from that same stack of 10-inch pre-cuts. These gorgeous pinks and roses and purples, and I think they look really pretty together, and they give a completely different look when so it depends on the mood I'm in when I'm using my big shopper tote. So those are, I needed 8 squares, 8 10-inch squares for the lining, or for the flip side of the bag. I keep saying the lining, but you know what I mean. And then lastly, for the handles, I went with something that I thought would tie that all together. And there were 2 of the same fabric, which worked out well, because I like my handles to be the same. You do not need to do that. But for each handle, you need 1 10-inch square. So for my 2 handles, we're making 2 handles on this bag, I just have 2 10-inch squares. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make 4 panels of 4 squares. So basically I'm going to make 4 patches, and I will mix these up just because I like to mix them up. Let's see, move it up a little bit so you can see it all. I mean, again, this is such easy sewing. I use a 1/4 inch seam allowance when I'm sewing these pieces together. When I sew the other part of the bag together, and I'll explain that, I'm going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance. But for this part, I'm going to be using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So again, I'm going to be making 4 patches. 2 from the blue. Here are the other 4 patches I'll be putting together. And then 2 from the pink. All right, so here are these gorgeous 4 patches. Here's one, here's another, and I think I'm going to do those on the inside. So I'm going to start with the blue ones, and here are the 2 blue ones. So I'm going to put the pink ones aside, and I'm going to flip these over, and you can see how I press the seams open. It just gets a little less bulk and it makes the bag a little bit smoother. And then I have my, actually I thought I was using lightweight. I'm using sheer weight fusible interfacing. This is Polon, and I believe it's 906F. I'm going to double check that. Yeah, it's 906, Polon 906F sheer weight. And hopefully it should just fit on your square. You might need to trim it up a little bit, you know, depending on your seam allowance. This is a nice forgiving project, but you can see here I'm going to flatten it out. I'm going to take it over to my pressing surface, and on the back side, don't forget it's on the back side of one of the panels, you're going to put one, and then you're going to do the same thing on the other outside fabric. So if you have fabric that you know you want on the outside, you want to do that interfacing, the fusible interfacing on the back side of those panels. So, all right, so here's the fusible interfacing all over them. I'm going to tell you a little secret here. I'm glad I don't do these live because I missed a whole step, and you can see there's some stitching here. I had to pull it out. I had a date with the ripper. Anyway, we're going to do it correctly now. So I'm going to put these aside, but these are the 2 with the fusible interfacing on them. And now we're going to make the straps. So to make the straps, I have two 10-inch squares from that pre-cut pack. And I'm just going to line them up on top of each other, nice and even. Just make sure they're good. And I'm going to cut from each one, and I'm just going to lay them on top of each other. Makes it quick work of it. I'm going to make 3 strips that are 3.5 by 10 inches. I'm sorry, scratch that. 3.25 inches wide by 10 inches. So just getting my ruler here. And I'm just going to cut those out. So you're going to have a total of 6 strips that are 10 inches by 3.25 inches. All right, so here are my 3 strips, easy to do. And now what I'm just going to do is piece them together in one long strip. All right, so I definitely want to show you how to make the straps. So what I did is I pieced those 6 pieces together, or those 6 strips, and I pressed the seams open. So the next thing you're going to do is press it in half, fold it over with wrong sides together, and just press along the whole strip. Watch your fingers. Okay, so I let it cool. It does get hot, so watch your fingers with this part, especially because you're going to be hands-on for this. So now I'm going to open this back up, and you see where it formed that crease? I'm going to bring this edge up, again with wrong sides facing, just fold this in, and then carefully press again all along the strip. Alright, so this side's cooled and it's folded over, and then I'm going to just rotate it around and do the same thing with the other thing. Luckily, with the other side. Luckily, you can still see that crease. It is getting pressed out a little bit, but basically you're going to match it up. Well, it would help if I could show you on the camera under the lighting. You're going to fold this side over. You can still see the crease a little bit, but it is getting pressed out. So just fold that over to that crease that we formed, you know, when we formed the half of a strip. And then I'm just going to press actually both sides this time. Alright, right, so then the last thing you want to do, I know it takes a while to do this, just going to fold that whole thing over in half again and press it so that you're going to have a nice clean edge on both sides. You want this open edge nice and even because you're going to stitch that all together. All right, so here is my strap, or my straps, excuse me. I just made one long one. We're going to cut this in half. And the next thing I'm going to do is take it to the machine and just an 1/8 of an inch in on each edge, just to make that nice and secure. All right, so here's that long strap. We got to cut this in half. Hopefully you can see where I sewed down each side. Probably not. I used a real blending thread, but if you can see it, I hope so. But down each side, 1/8 of an inch, very easy to do. And then I'm just going to fold this in half. I just like them to be nice and even. Again, I like longer straps. This is very much adjustable. If you decide you don't want such long straps, hey, make them as long or as short as you want. But this just works out perfectly with that with the 10-inch pre-cuts. And then I just cut it in half, so now I have my 2 straps. So I've brought back one of the outside pieces. We're going to do this on both. I'm going to just show you on one. The first thing you want to do is mark 3.5 inches from the right side, the left side, and 3.5 from the right side. Just going to do a mark. I have this water-soluble marker, which is perfect for this. Just a little mark right there. Whoops, I did 3 1/4. Well, that's good. Tell you the wrong measurement. There we go. That's the better one. 3.5 from this side, and then another 3.5 from here. And just put your mark there. And then you're going to take your strap and you're going to place it on, for the mark on the right side, you want to put that one edge to the left of them, or just right on the mark to the left side. So here's the mark here. Hopefully you can see that. Here's the mark here, and I place this here, and I'm just going to pin that in place. And then making sure this isn't twisted or anything, you're going to do the same with the other one. On this case, that mark from the left-hand side is 3.5 inches in, and I'm going to put that left side of the strap to that mark right there. And I'm going to pin that, again, making sure nothing's twisted. All right, and then what I'm going to do, just for safety's sake, because you know, if you're putting a lot in this bag, you want to have nice strong handles. Just 1/8 of an inch in, I'm going to do maybe a couple of stitches, maybe 2 or 3 times across each side right there. All right, so here they are. I have attached the straps to the top of that raw edge, and now what we're going to do is we're going to assemble the outside of the bag. You want to make sure those straps are tucked inside, and we're just going to layer these together, right sides facing. We're going to line them up. We're going to pin around, and you definitely want to pin to match up those nice patchwork seams there. So you can see I've pinned around just a few places, definitely at those seams. I wanted them to match, and at the corners, just so everything matches up nicely. Again, when you're sewing, keep those straps tucked in. The other thing is here, instead of using the 1/4 inch seam allowance, you want to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance along the right, the bottom, and then the left side. All right, so now I've done that. It's still open at the top. You can see that, and you're just going to clip these 2 corners, making sure not to snip through any of that sewing. Just going to clip those off really easily. Let me move it up to the camera a little bit. 1, and just to remove a little bit of that bulk from the corners. And then the fun starts. We're going to turn this inside out, but we're not done yet. And just going to punch out those corners. Ooh, I love these colors. So pretty. If you have some kind of a tool to punch out the corners, or just run like the eraser side of a pencil, get the corners out. I'll work on that a little bit more because you want to have that nice sharp corners. There we go. All right, so there is the one side of the bag, or I'm going to consider this the outside. Ooh, so pretty. Now we're going to do the lining, or the inside of the bag. And this is where it's just a little bit different. Again, you're going to determine the top of your bag, and you're going to flip over and make these right sides together. This time, of course, this has no fusible interfacing on it. And so I'm going to say this is the top of the bag, okay? So what you're going to do is line them up again like we did with the other one. You're going to pin here at the seams. And here's the important part, because this is when the magic happens, or will help get the magic to happen, excuse me. Just pin at those seams. You're going to sew all along the right side, all along the left side, and then only part of the way on the bottom. You're going to leave an opening. Let me move that up a little bit so you can see it. And what I do is to tell myself, I usually use a different color pin, and I just pin where I want it to start and end. And you definitely want to back stitch here where these are starting and ending, because this is where you're going to turn that bag in, the right side's out, excuse me. So there's my opening. It is about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 inches wide. You know, your preference. I wouldn't make it too small because it is a big bag. So this is why I pin here, and then I'm just going to pin on this edge and make sure this is all even, which it looks like it is. That's good. I just like my seams to match. That's just me. So again, you're going to sew. What I like to do is I'll just start here and then work my way that way. Move it down and then start here, work my way that way. Back stitching here and up here. And again, keeping that 1/2 inch seam allowance. We want to have the 1/2 inch seam allowance on this one as well. All right, here we are. So here's the lining, or the inside of the bag, and here you can see where, just want to show you, I left that opening, because that's where we're going to turn it inside out. So here comes the next step. We're gonna bring back that outside of the bag, and we're going to actually put it inside. So you left this top open. We're just going to put this inside. And you're going to make sure those straps are tucked in nicely. This takes a little bit of fidgeting, I know, and you're going to pin, just going to match up those seams and making sure nothing's twisted around. It takes a few seconds. Here we go. So, and this is again why I press those seams open, and I like to pin just so it matches nicely. And I'm just going to pin or clip all the way around the top, again making sure those straps are tucked inside. We do not want those outside, because then it won't work, the magic won't happen. One thing I forgot to mention is on the sides, you know, when we just pieced the 2 layers together, I did not press those open. You can just do that with your fingers. Just press that open when you're pinning, so you have nice open seams there too. Alright, so I've pinned around the top. You can add some more pins or clips. Clips work really well with this too, but I just felt like pinning today, which is a rarity for me. Anyway, here's the opening. There's your outside is tucked in. The straps are tucked way in, so you don't stitch around them. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this over to our machine, and we are going to, making sure everything fits up here and matches evenly, we're going to line these all up a little bit. The straps kind of pull sometimes, so you got to make sure they're lined up. And you're just going to sew 1/8 of an inch, a scant, or not scant, but 1/8 of an inch seam allowance around the entire circle of it. You don't want to sew it closed. All right, we're almost done. So I have sewn around the entire top edge, this two lining, the outer and the lining together. I meant to tell you when I put these in, the right sides were facing each other. And now we're gonna, this is where the magic happens. And you're just gonna use that hole and you're gonna pull this right sides out. Doesn't look like much now, but just wait. Kind of fidgety, I know. And here is that bag. You're definitely going to need to press this again. And then there's your lining, or your inside of the bag. I keep calling it lining. And you're just going to come in there. You want to sort of punch out those holes. We're going to put this in the bag in a second. Probably didn't see that. You're going to punch out those holes. Before you put the lining into the bag, you want to sew this seam closed, because if you don't, everything's going to fall into your bag, or worse, out of your bag. So you're going to press this, you're going to fold these edges over. It kind of does it on its own because, you know, you use that 1/2 inch seam allowance, and you're just going to match this up. I would press this. I'm going to press this just so it looks nicer. And you're just going to pin it. Whoops. Just dropped a pin on the floor. Better pick that up before I step on it. And just sew using a scant 1/8 inch, you're going to just sew along here and just close up that hole because you don't want anything falling through it or anything. Right, so here it is. You can barely see it. That's the bottom seam. It's now closed. I'm going to snip off all of those little threads. Alright, so then what we're going to do, once that's all sewn up, we're going to just insert that lining into the bag. Just get those corners out nice. Again, if you have a tool, it's hard to see. And we only have one more step to do, well, two more actually. But I'm just going to get this so it's nice and even. You can see the handles here. What I'm going to do first off, I'm going to press this really well, or attempt to press it really well, and I'm going to line up these top edges because I'm going to sew around the top edge. Again, that is optional, but it definitely adds not only a finishing touch, I think it gives it a little more stability. So I'm going to get my pressing station and then press this all out really nicely. I just like to press around the edges. Just give it a nice finishing touch. I'll press the whole bag once I'm done sewing this top edge around. And you can see where you just have to fiddle with it a little bit to get it so it's nice and even when you're folding it. Alright, so I press the edge so you can kind of see it's nice and even on the top. And then what I'm going to do one last time, I'm just going to stitch an 1/8 inch seam allowance along the whole outer edge. One thing just watch when you're sewing around. When I make bags, sometimes I've done this before where I grab this, I stitched the handle by accident. So when you're doing this, watch out. But anyway, that's going to finish off this bag, and then I'm going to give it one more nice press, and then I'll be ready to show it off. Alright, here I am finished. Here is my jumbo tote. Great patchwork reversible tote bag. I did stitch around the top stitching a little bit just to finish it off nicely. Here's the inside. I'm going to actually show you how I reverse it, but here it is one more time. I'm about 5'10", and so I'm a big girl. And so this is a nice big oversized tote, a shopper tote, trick-or-treat bag like the other one, which I'll bring out in a second. But it's lots of fun to make, so easy to make. And then let's reverse it. You need to just fiddle it a little bit. You can see you do see the bottom where you stitch that hole closed when you reverse it, but you know what, it's not a big deal. This isn't a fancy go to the opera type bag. I mean, I guess it could be. Hey, why not? Maybe a black tie gala, that maybe it wouldn't be for that. Let's put it that way. And then here it is with the pinks. Ta-da! Loving both sides. Just, I guess it depends on the mood that I'm in when I go to the farmer's market with my new bag. So this is it. Very easy to make. Let me just get the Halloween one real quick. Here's the Halloween one for all you trick-or-treaters who need a lot of candy. When I was a kid, I grew up in a development with lots and lots of townhouses. My brother and I would get massive pillowcases just filled with candy, and we never finished it. It was my parents used to rate it too because I got so much candy. It was ridiculous. But this is again that Halloween fabric. So that's my fun and easy reversible patchwork tote bag. I hope you give it a try. It's a great shopper tote bag. I'm just curious, do you like the blue side or the pink side better? I don't know which one I'm going to use this weekend when I go to my farmer's market. Anyway, thank you to Missouri Star Quilt Company. Don't forget, I do have that discount link. You get 20% off of orders of $50 or more, as long as they're qualifying items. Not everything qualifies it, but I'm not exactly sure what does and what doesn't. I do thank you when you use that, because I do earn a commission when you use that link, so thank you so much. And of course, that offer is always subject to change without any notice. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.